okay, you name dropped Walmart. Let's say you're going to Walmart, okay?
I didn't say that.
What I'm saying is, if you do go to Walmart, be very picky. Be very picky, because I go there and I will buy locally produced organic, not just crops, but locally grown tofu, locally grown, manufactured, what a vegan would call quote unquote meat, right? Different protein substances.
Have that cramp problem if you were vegetarian.
It's leg day. I had vegan beer.
Wait,
Right,
I don't want to know what kind of beer you're drinking if it's not vegan. It's that liver beer.
Cookies and cream.
Liver beer. So, what I'm saying is, if you, as a conscious consumer, and I'm speaking to every listener out there, I'm saying go to Walmart. Go ahead. Go to Walmart and only buy organic, locally produced everything.
Because I can't find that.
So they
I
have
have.
it at Walmart?
I have. I found it at Walmart and I found it at Giant Eagle.
I thought Mark's did it for a while, but I can't even find it at Mark's anymore. Local stuff.
I found it both at, and I'm going to name drop two of them. Both Walmart and Giant Eagle have organic, and a lot of it is locally produced. Not all of it, but I did find organic produce, and I did also find vertically gardened vegetation.
And it says
So-
that on the packaging?
Yes, and if it doesn't say it in the packaging, go look at your local vertical gardening or even your near local vertical gardening, and they'll tell you who they're using to source their products out. So,
Yeah.
and if you buy those products, if every listener decided to buy just those products
And support your local farmers market.
and support your local farmers market, they will bring in more of those products and less of the mass-produced products.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm concerned that it's hard to get the mass to change, but I do think you might try to say it's meat's problem. It is 15% of emissions can be related to meat, but I do think there's been new studies coming out, and this is good news. If you really truly care about the environment, it's not an us versus them. It's how can we do this together? Because you're right, the population control is not happening, and it's increasing. So I don't even think purely vegetable-based stuff is going to work. I think it has to be, how do we fix the current problem? So we've killed our soils.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. When if we're going to go down that,
Right.
we're over farming the ground and the Dust Bowl and all that kind of stuff.
So do we just move on to it and go vertical farming? Well, regenerative agriculture has been shown to replenish soils as fast as 3 to 5 years. And so there's much less erosion, and there is no pesticides. And they've actually sequestered way more CO2 than they produce. They're carbon negative farms. And there are multiple of these. I can name 3 or 4 right now that I know of, and I haven't even researched the amount. So I think supporting regenerative agriculture is huge. And they've seen increase in biodiversity. So animal species that have become rare are now starting to populate these biodiverse.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
but there's also there was also CO2 levels higher than any of the levels that they're projecting that are going to destroy us all. Where we had a species boom, however many thousands of years ago. So again, therein lies that whole CO2 and green. So there's another study on a study that shows CO2 might not be that bad. Because the CO2 levels were higher than what they're projecting is going to destroy us.
Yeah.
And so I didn't mean to throw that little side note in.
I would also say a big shout out to the recent development of oceanic gardening, because there's beautiful both on top and below oceanic gardening is taking place that's really creating a huge diversity.
He's a George Orwell fan.
Yeah, so oceanic gardening is gardens you produce in either on or underneath the ocean, and they're producing mad crops, and they're very high in nutrients and aminos you need.
How are you doing that under the ocean? Like in a bubble?
And I did
more
hear,
or less, yes.
You may have heard this.
Yeah.
They did find a kelp seaweed that tasted and cooked up just like bacon.
That's true.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Serious? Oh, yeah, I
So,
gotta try it.
I read the story and I'm like, well shit. And I've never heard anything of it again. So someone must have bought it all up and is getting ready to
I'm
release
sure
it.
you're gonna find
Google
it next
censored
year.
it.
How do I buy stock?
Next year.
Yeah, no.
Coming out next year.
But I didn't know that. They're putting like bubbles in the water and
Yeah, so they're creating these biodiverse organic more or less bubbles, okay, under the ocean where they create gardens, and they're completely organic. They're enclosed. They're not underwater. I mean, they're underwater, but they're not water in them.
Right.
And they're gardening. And then they have another version where it's on top of the ocean, and they just float around and they create. And here's the cool part: the ones on top are using both solar and windmills to create all their power. So
Well, and salt is such a component of energy production, and the oceans are over-salinated, so
yeah,
it could be really good.
right.
You know,
Interesting.
I also think like what can you do in your own house? You know what I mean? Like you can grow vegetables, and you can, but I also think like to do it more year round, you can incorporate fish to help feed the vegetables, and you could harvest or not harvest the fish. You know, but there are these things. I mean, the first farming actually used to be snails.
Yummy.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah, you can dig a trench around it and cultivate snails. So there are things like we can do to increase your protein intake and stuff, and be more local. So, however, if you truly want to reduce your impact, there are things you can go through. Everything's a sacrifice. Everything is. Sacrifice.
So what's the one thing that's almost as gross as liver? Snails.
I've never had snails, but only because they also carry diseases. So,
Even with that, like sacrifice is kind of an ugly word.
personal sacrifice.
It's more like-
desires. That. I wasn't really talking about animal sacrifice. I was talking more
No.
about, like, yeah.
I'm even saying that.
Oh,
like
okay.
it's more like a little more effort and a little more work.
Yeah.
Sacrifice sounds like you're missing out. You're taking away. Well, I mean, believe me, if I got some really good chefs in here to cook you guys some vegan stuff, like you'd be like, oh my god, like,
It's
If
incredible.
I had that,
It's incredible.
wouldn't miss.
Yeah.
And you said this has, this has all the proteins and nutrients and everything you need completely, or, you could eat, and that's I guess when it comes down to it, that's where I'm at is you can put a steak on there and you can give me something that's not going to cause that animal to die, and I'll
Comes
go
down
there
to
every time,
ethics.
and that's it. Like that's as simple as my argument has to be.
Comes down to
On the
ethics
ethical
again.
side, and I'll move on from there.
Okay.
But yeah, like sacrificing, sacrificing's, it takes more effort. It takes a little more work. It takes a little more because we're so down this lane of, burgers and steaks and everything that we do. So to turn off of that highway and say, wait a minute, now all of a sudden I got to figure out how to get what I had from there from what now? Like everyone's gonna be like in this day and age, this phone, I'm getting this quick and I'm done and I'm out. It's like, who's gonna sit,
Exactly.
I'm just gonna order pizza.
yeah, it's like,
Right.
it sounds like a lot of work. Hard pass. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be 9.9 people out of 10 are going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree with you. That's cool and all, but I'm tired. I want to, I'm hungry and I'm on the couch.
And to your point, it was going full vegetarian
I don't feel
and
like
going
saving the
into
world
a predominantly vegan diet. It was ethics that guided me. It wasn't anything else, because it was a health problem that started me, but it was research and ethics that guided me. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. If there were two plates that somebody was giving me for dinner or for lunch, whatever, and one was a nice steak dinner and the other one was a completely plant-based dinner, I would want to know where that steak came from. I want to know the quality of that steak.
Yeah.
I want to know that there wasn't a ton of Hulk Hogan steroids injected into it versus, I want to know those things.
Yeah.
If it came from a what's those type of farms that, there's a name for them that are,
Yeah, the manufactured farming.
no, not manufactured farms.
Like a small farm, like a
ethical type farms. There's another name for it. Humane type farm. If it came from something like that and it was organic and it was like a local farm, I'll eat it.
Well, how about this? Can
Versus-
I humanely kill you versus
Yeah, for
violently,
me,
horribly
it's
killing
not about
you?
that
Like-
because for me, it's just not even about that anymore. Honestly, because something's gonna be taken away.
But
no
like,
matter what
okay,
you
so to add to that scenario, if I said that this plate, the taste is the same good taste, same flavor,
yeah,
and it's all the same nutrients and stuff, but this one, the cow had to get a bolt shot through his head, or this one, we just, chop the plant and process it all. Like, would you choose Like if that's as simple as what it came down
If
to.
that's the deciding factor.
The deciding factor for me.
No, that's I'm putting you between a rock and a hard case.
Yeah, no,
obviously.
the deciding factor for me is that I want to know that the quality of cow meeting is quality versus a Monsanto type of
No, let's say it's
plant-based
both.
dip.
Let's say it's both top
We're gonna hold
quality.
you to a hard answer. We're gonna hold you to a hard answer in this one.
It's both
All right,
top
go ahead.
quality.
Uh-huh.
One is me cutting the stalk, processing. The other is bolt through the head.
Same
kill and
nutrients,
process.
Yeah.
same taste, same flavor.
Even playing field.
Yeah, I'd make a salad out of both.
Ooh. You know what? If I can answer the same question, I would. If that would be great, I would have both.
Yeah.
And the reason, and this is something Aaron you brought up in the past, vegans have been studies have shown they've had like more empathy as a society, like or as a we'll call them a culture. And what I wonder though, is there such a thing as too much compassion to where we are just like, let's say you can't make a tough decision because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Like that is based on compassion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I made my kids slaughter a chicken with their hands and help me and eat them. The same, and they skinned the fish because I wanted them to feel that. Kind of like if you think of the Native Americans, how they almost celebrated and had a worship ceremony around the animal.
Living in harmony.
Living in harmony. You have to be attached
They
to
had a respect for that
your
life.
food. And every day, I will thank the Lord, and I'll tell the kids, I was like, man, aren't we blessed to have this nutrient? You know what I mean? And so I think if you get too compassionate where you're not willing or you want to look away from that slaughter, as a society, I do think there are people that are not supposed to drink alcohol. There are people that are not supposed to partake in certain things. There are probably people that are supposed to be vegan, but not everybody, because it will make us probably too compassionate, potentially.
One of the greatest thinkers of all time, Leonardo da Vinci, he once said, "We will someday look upon the slaughter of animals the way we look upon the murder of humans." And that was Leonardo da Vinci.
Well, Pythagoras was a pescatarian, so I kind of lean more towards that.
And there was another even more simply. I mean, if you want to just talk about, everyone's like, oh, we want world peace, and Tolstoy did a comment where he said that no species that has slaughterhouses will ever know peace. And,
Exactly.
It's kind of from my seat that makes sense.
But are we ever gonna know peace on this world?
You know-
on this earth anyway.
By the way, like
We
if we're gonna
could.
get into humans,
We
like,
could.
dude, that's
So the trouble.
just write that one
and-
down
and-
because
and I-
You're pro vasectomy.
And
I am pro.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Dostoevsky, because I do believe that humans, as long as we are chopping down other creatures for our own bellies, I do believe that we will have war and carnage, and we'll be slaughtering children, and we'll be raping women, and that's going to keep going
Why though?
because of
that has
lack
not-
of compassion.
You think that has nothing to do with greed or financial gain
That's
or any
that's
of those other things?
that's all part of it. Because if I have the same nutrients here and the same nutrients here, and I choose to destroy and kill life, you will never have peace. You will still slaughter children. You'll still
There's
rape
a
women.
difference between a child and a cow.
Oh,
It's-
really?
Yes, there is. Absolutely.
Okay. According to which culture and which religion?
So there are places all out there. There are grocery stores. You're not totally mortified. Would you be mortified if your children were chopped up in the grocery store right now?
I'm mortified that we have body parts laying in them right now.
Vegans will.
It's not the same thing.
They've totally it's equal.
It's
So-
not.
They think.
So it's not the same because you have a cultural identity in your culture. Now, if you went to India right
So
now,
go to the grocery store right now. Buy up all the meat. Go home and have
So,
a funeral.
if you went to
and
India
bury
right
it all in
now,
the
Okay,
ground.
well, how
Look-
about this?
look for
Okay,
one.
We won't
Look
even
for
go
one.
extreme. We
Go
won't
ahead.
even go extreme
Go ahead.
to babies. How about if do you have any pets?
I do.
What kind of pet you got?
It's a dog.
Okay, so you have a golden retriever. So what if you walked into Giant Eagle tomorrow and here's a fillet of golden retriever? Would you be appalled, or would you be like, oh man, I always wanted to try that? You'd be appalled. Again, it's because what your
Do
society.
you have a pet cow?
No.
Are you planning on getting one?
No.
why does the
Pet
species
chicken?
matter?
No.
Why does the
But I'm
species
just
matter?
saying, like, it's,
Why is a cow and a dog different?
Well, nutritionally, cows are healthier.
Because of the way that you grow it, right?
No. Well, okay, so yeah, if you feed my cow oats, it's not much healthier than a dog that eats.
Right,
crap.
exactly. So
okay, so we need
Your
to do
cow
a
eats
study.
oats
So you're saying, Aaron, by that logic,
only crap.
Oh,
that
not just
every-
mine, not just mine.
Okay, not just yours. Everyone who's a vegan or
does it make
hardcore
you like
plant-based.
sad? Do you feel
everyone
sad?
who is a hardcore war advocate eats meat.
Good question.
Wait, what?
Yes,
War.
Oh, you say there's no
Oh, what?
peaceful meat eaters.
War.
War.
Can there
Anything
be a
that is
vegan
resulted
circuit
in
You're saying there's a there's
So anybody who knows me knows that I am not a fan of war. So what does it mean?
I'm asking you. You're lumping everyone who is
so you're saying everyone that
advocated
eats
for war.
meat
The
would be an
justification for
advocate.
any type of war was a meat eater.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is culturally, every culture that embraces the slaughter of sentient creatures will always have war.
I'm saying that human beings, as long as they're human beings, even if meat never existed, we would still have war.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Ding ding.
I will
saying-
agree with you on everything that paints humans in a bad light of doing effed up shit. Let's go agree across the board.
2020.
That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, if we wiped out humans right now, I'm pretty sure that the other mammals on this earth would create a far better
You want to
paradise.
go back to eco-friendly? You know how we
I-
save the planet? Get the hell out of the way. Have you ever seen anywhere that's been effed up by us? You leave it alone for 50 years, and now it's a thriving
Exactly.
natural thing. Just get the hell out
This
of the way.
goes back to
It's
like,
humans. Humans
I've
are
had
the
this
problem.
issue with you saying this on many podcasts. You say like humans are a scourge on
We are.
the earth, or humans
Hands
are
down.
a parasite on the earth.
Yeah,
And like, how can you be a Christian and say those things?
absolutely. Because the Bible actually says we're a parasite. It says it over and over and over and over again.
And so I guess then Jesus, right? Thank you. Press it again.
Uh-huh.
I think then Jesus was a parasite, right? Are you okay saying that?
So, no. Humans.
Because he made us in his
So,
image and
He was
likeness.
a
Are you
sinner.
okay saying
No.
he's a
Again,
parasite?
Jesus was a sinner.
No.
Jesus was a man. He was a sinner.
Jesus was not a sinner. So,
That's a tricky
no.
one there. That's a
Jesus
slippery
was,
slope.
Jesus was not a sinner. So, again, if we go back, was there a fall?
Was Jesus a man?
Was-
Sure.
Okay. So there was a fall, correct?
Right.
All right. So,
Maybe
after the fall, was there not war?
Sure.
Okay.
Back to you.
And greed.
Sure.
All right. And war.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Yes.
So we're a parasite. So,
Well, how does that
so-
translate into
so-
us being a parasite?
because we
That's a pretty huge
destroy
leap.
every. Go to any.
sorry, rat.
There's islands, right? There's full islands full of no humans.
Okay.
And there is a full,
Oh, and they're
robust
doing so
ecology.
great, and it's
Actually,
just
yeah.
so great, and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So,
and they're doing so well. And,
if we-
and who cares?
if we
Well,
decide to live in harmony with nature, instead of setting up, I won't name drop stores at the moment, instead of setting up a mass-produced store where there's greed and there's
What do you
gain
propose we do?
and there's
should we kill part of the population? Even through attrition? Like,
no.
should we just
what
let
we
people
do,
die and not
what we
replace
do
them?
is we create compassion among everybody.
Well,
Yes.
think about
And let's say,
Let's
here's what I
let out
say.
our
Here's what I say.
tambourines and create
Here's what I say.
compassion.
Here's
Just
what I
make a
say.
choice.
So,
gonna be a
Mr.
beautiful world.
Mr. Walmart, shh. Now, what I say
I'm
is,
not Mr. Walmart. I
if-
fucking hate Walmart. I think it's a petri dish.
if you want meat, then I say you either A, go kill it yourself, all right? If you want meat, go kill it, all right? Or work with a humane farm where they actually raise it humanely.
Who does it? Right.
All right.
okay.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are supporting your mass production stuff, then you will never have.
Humans are not the virus.
I don't see any plants in
if
your yard.
humans are
I
the
don't see
virus-
any vegetables growing in your
Going on
yard.
record.
Okay.
If humans are the virus, then there's no Christianity.
Right.
Okay, so I'd like to chime in for like, I feel like we are all both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at some point we contribute to infection, and at some points we don't contribute, and that's part of our journey as Christians.
Yeah.
And so, like, I totally understand, Edward, why it's offensive when Aaron says this kind of
Right.
stuff.
It sounds like you have a lot of human guilt. You ever heard of white guilt? It sounds like you have human guilt. Maybe we should talk about that and explore that a little bit.
I have a lot of history.
Let's talk about being raised Catholic, because guilt and being raised Catholic.
Yeah, you kind of need it. Well, what I'm saying is, like, realistically, we've been kind of cultured to look at 5 billion, 7 billion, how many people are on the earth right now, and not expect the majority to really follow the best practices. You know what I mean? So at that point, but I think that makes you a hypocritic.
Right, stop
Go
trying
ahead.
to police the
Go
whole
ahead.
world and just worry about yourself.
Go ahead.
Because
The first unit of government is self-governance, so worry about yourself. I don't see any vegetables growing in your yard.
but
Actually, yes, we have a vertical garden in the house. Go ahead.
But I'm also
Awesome.
saying, like, to think that if you just remove animal farming and that kind of stuff, that it's going to change humanity at the core and we're going to evolve.
Right.
I really think that's very.
And how is that
speculative.
change going to happen? Is God going to look down and be
Over
like,
time.
they're so compassionate
Well, it's kinda-
on their
okay,
over time.
animals?
Think about it as we're talking
I'm
about
gonna bless
the
them with
two-party
everything.
system in the country, and everyone's saying, "Oh, voting for a libertarian or whatever person right now at the presidential level, oh, it's throwing your vote away."
Right.
Well, okay, it might be, but
Well, it's yours
let's
to
start
throw
down
out.
here, like you're saying. Let's start at Unit 1. Let's start here locally. Let's look at the other parties locally, and then slowly over time, that changes over time. Again,
Yeah.
like. We've become such a knee-jerk reaction. A knee-jerk. Oh, it's worth. It won't work right now. Well, you know what? How could our position of not wanting to kill billions of animals be like not even a worthy effort? Because, well, you know, like I just feel like you're trying to steer the ship to forget all that or don't do it. Like why not? Why not try to make something better? Yes, it might be. Believe me, I ask this question all the time. What difference am I making? Well, you know what? It's a good difference to make if it can be made. So therefore, it's a worthy effort.
I see what you're saying, and I think I kind of buy in halfway to that. And so I'll give you half of that. My first half is just that I'm a human being, and my first promotion will always be toward the human being. So I don't think that there's a direct, because we're eating meat, that's why we're killing other human beings correlation.
Right, I don't understand how one translates into the other.
I would rather tackle, the things that we want. What we want as human beings, we want
And
land,
desensitization.
we want resources, we want money, we want control.
Yeah.
Those are to say that those come from meat. It's such a huge reach. I don't even get it.
Well, they're saying being desensitized, but then you would have to see
But I'm saying
humans and animals as equals to feel that
Not
way.
equals. Actually, just the opposite. Understanding compassion on a lesser being, because if you can have compassion on that, you can have compassion on your neighbor.
You're right. We should have compassion for our most vulnerable, the chickens.
Well,
Because we do have less vulnerable of our own human race that we're not taking care of. So I think we need to get to that first. That's more important.
I think
things.
Gumby
All
and I are
things.
tiptoeing around the same little circle here of we are humans and we're not really good.
Right.
Let's take care of
Regardless
humans.
Yes.
regardless of
And
oh, you know what? Okay, well we're not doing that either. So
Yeah.
there's there's 2 million some kids sitting around homeless in the streets. Like we're not solving that problem. So
if every politician and every citizen who voted for the politicians and every president from here on out was completely vegan and plant-based, is there going to be peace in the world?
okay,
no, because the president doesn't
I'll just say no. There
dictate what
won't.
everyone
I'll say
else
no. There
does.
won't.
Because there's other elements
Right.
that contribute to that.
Right.
But what are you contributing to? Like why contribute to something that's horrific?
Now, before we progress to our next part of our subject, a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever wanted to train Muay Thai? Perhaps there's no gyms near you. Perhaps you work odd hours. Perhaps, like a few of us, you don't like germs. Whichever way it goes, you can train online with some of the best instructors from around the country, either live or in class with other students. Living Muay Thai gives you the chance to do all of this and much more. So jump into live classes and on demand right now. livingmuaythai.com.
I'm going to put an addendum on because I do believe that we are a virus. I do. Now, I also do believe that we are the antibody. But,
oh my gosh, I'm gonna save myself.
So no,
I'm so happy.
No, because we have culture counteracting culture. So we are both.
I feel like
and we do have both.
We
do have both colliding. Okay, because you have humans.
By the way, you know how much extra protein you've had in that beer all night because of the bugs.
Fruit flies like the bourbon.
So that's why you have two cultures. That's why you have two cultures colliding, because you have half the culture. They're trying to invest in the future and are trying to invest in compassion, and you have another side that isn't. And you do have a subculture in the middle. Okay, in the middle.
I think the main part of that. I think the main part of that is the apathetic culture.
But I do believe that we have both sides. So you can have something that is both the virus and the antibody, because the virus builds the antibody, right? So you do have both.
Naturally.
Okay.
Naturally.
But unless you have both sides working, one side's going to overpower the other. And historically, so far, it has been the virus. Historically, so far, we still have wars every year, and we are still destroying ourselves. So far, the virus has been winning. So
but
we have to build
up.
We have to build up. We have to build up the antibodies.
I don't think. I see
so
what
put
you're
that
saying.
into quantifiable things. What do I need to do to become an antibody, since I'm in the virus camp at the moment?
Here's one thing where Mike and I totally agree. Number one, stop by mass production. I think we can both agree on that.
We do agree, but would that, if everybody did that, would that create peace, and would humans stop being the virus?
That's where we have to stop worrying. Right there. We can't sit and say.
So you're just making small improvements.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
what I'm saying is locally.
Half.
Yeah, locally.
If we did that, we'd be halfway there.
Yes.
To something better.
Yes.
Let's not say we're talking about peace, but
peace in the world. We are the world. Life is water. Water is life.
All right. It turned real theology. You know, like I felt like we're always going to deal with sin until, like, that's the purpose of life, kind of, is to make these good choices.
Yeah.
With the temptation of the bad choices being there. Despite that temptation, we're supposed to move towards good. Now, what I wouldn't agree on is that killing animals is necessarily wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's...
Historically, it's been needed in some cultures. Historically.
Needed for what?
Well, historically in culture, before there was what we have now.
Before we had farming, sustenance and stuff. Cavemen bomb things on the head.
I can relate to what you're saying in terms of being the virus and the antibody, because whenever I've gotten sick in the past, I also, like you, Mike, I don't believe in vaccines. I believe in letting my natural immunity do what God intended it to do.
Which is right.
Yeah. Why not?
When I got sick, my body created its antibodies and it took care of itself. Mm-hmm. So, my body became the virus, right?
Yep.
But then it also created what I needed to kill it.
Yep.
And become stronger to do that. I can vibe with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think it's the small changes we make. And again, I think Mike and I both agree on this one. I think buy local, stop buying mass production. If you go to a large box store, look for the stuff that's locally produced, because then it creates supply and demand. So,
yeah.
But I will say that my diet, I'm getting better, including meat. Good meat.
All right.
Good meat. Not McDonald's.
Okay, so on my platform. So what did you guys think of this? I'd like to get your beat on this, because I've kind of pushed this to a lot of people. Licensing, because you made the specific point that you had your kids go through the whole process of that to understand. I
kudos.
If I were running for, if I had a position of power, I would legislate that you had to have a license for every living thing that you wanted to eat. We could get into the details of at what age and all that stuff, but I think there has to be, to get down to that path, there has to be an appreciation for what you're actually privileged to consume. And I guarantee you, if any meat eater walked through a factory farm of any kind and saw how A to Z it was done, you probably would lower your stance a little bit on what's happening to get the cellophane packaged meat in there. So licensing to eat meat, like I have a motorcycle endorsement and I have a chicken endorsement.
How does one obtain this meat endorsement?
You would go through literally, again, details wise, but you would, if you wanted to eat veal, we'd bring out veal, you'd have to fucking choke it or elbow it or
who's
stab it.
No, who is the person?
You got to massage it, sing it a song.
Who is the person or the group or the organization giving the licenses?
I see what you mean.
Because who are you giving your power to? Who are you giving power over millions of people to? The government. Yes, they know everything.
It's just hypothetical. What do
right.
you
I just threw it out there.
All of this is hypothetical.
In a world where you had to get a license,
I'm combating.
So you're against it.
Totally.
Okay. Hold on.
You would be like begging to live in a place like Venezuela.
Hold on. So let me tell you about somebody who lives right here.
They're dealing with some hard stuff,
Somebody right here in Ohio. Okay. I have a friend right here who lives in Ohio. He will only eat the meat that he hunts. He absolutely refuses to participate in mass production stores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he will go out and he will hunt his deer or whatever else he wants.
I know who you're talking about.
No, he actually worked for me over in Elyria.
Person that does that too.
But he refuses to participate in mass production stores, and he will only put in his fridge what he himself personally hunts. I have nothing against that.
Neither do I. He eats meat.
Yeah. I mean, he did it himself.
So anyways, and I'm not saying like every time you want a chicken, you got to kill it yourself. I'm saying one time in your life. Again, I'm just thinking from a very fundamental baseline awareness, and I'm combating apathy. I'm combating that.
See, now I want to have a political discussion with you, because I feel like when you police morality and then you put that in the hands of one central group or organization, how do they determine?
No, that was 2 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks ago.
Well, I wasn't here for 2 weeks ago.
Well, no,
but I'm sorry for missing
Think of it
that,
into the conversation that we're having about vegan versus meat in the argument. This is part of the ethical argument.
Say you trusted the entity.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well. Yeah.
So like literally telling us, oh, let's have some ribs, and what kind of ribs do we want? Okay, how about pork ribs? Okay, who wants to get the license? He already has his, but that means he can only eat it. We don't have our license. It can't be like he can.
That means he can only eat it.
Oh
Is there somebody coming in your house?
I'm just saying, like,
to monitor.
You have to go to a place. If you want to get your pork license, there is a pork station.
Introducing the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Meat.
In Russ's defense, this is what every Native American had to go through.
ATFM.
This is
I actually like this idea, but I would build on it, and I would say, because we have such an overconsumption problem, you get 2 cow tickets, 200 chicken tickets. I don't know.
Yes.
You develop.
Well, now you're talking.
Welcome to Mother Russia.
I am very, very, on paper, socialistic, communist, like that kind of stuff. If it can work in humanity, I'd be all about.
If that's solving the bigger picture problem.
It always works on paper.
That's
right.
Right.
Yeah, and
Put
we're
in the reality.
Land.
Well, we found out it doesn't work in capitalism, so
yeah. So I agree with you.
It definitely does not work in capitalism.
It's not gonna work.
Right.
We're destroying lives left and right through cancer and mass farming.
So let me add it a little more further. You have to get a license to drive your car. Why? Because you got to understand, so you don't run over a bunch of people in the road. And you got to understand how to operate it. So the same thing. So you don't contribute to the factory farming craziness and kill a bunch of stuff because you don't understand what's going on. You have to get your chicken license or your pork license, your cow license. Like,
this is absolutely incredulous.
I actually like his idea.
Like, I like that. It just gives you a way to stop and go, okay, this is what it means to do this, and this is how this works. Just like driving a car, this is how this works. This is how this works. If I don't experience it, I can't appreciate and respect it. Mm-hmm. And it's not like every time you got to do it, but one time I got my cow thing. I took a cow.
The culture of asking permission from people who never create something in their lives ever. Well, government doesn't create anything.
But isn't that
they're the rules people?
But isn't that what mass production does? Mass production's not asking anybody if they can take people's land over and start using it for mass farming.
We're talking
who
about
does that?
An issue
all over the country.
An issue of legality.
All over the country. People's whole neighborhoods. I know one over here in Ohio. People's whole neighborhoods come in. It's eminent domain. They come in, they take over your whole neighborhood, they wipe out your neighborhood, they give you market value for your house, and then they put in a mass production farm. It happens all over the country.
I haven't seen it.
I have.
That's not.
And I know
me saying it
multiple other
hasn't
people who
happened,
have.
but to a whole neighborhood.
Yes. Neighborhoods.
Yeah, but if we're
Yeah.
talking about an issue of legality,
Yeah.
being legal to do X, Y, Z, these companies already have it. That's why it's happening.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, okay, so further on this point is, think of the people that won't elect to kill something once to eat it. They'd rather not do that. So again, I it's serving my agenda. It's serving my vegan or vegetarian, whatever agenda. It's serving my ethical agenda by saying, you know what, go ahead and eat your cow, but god dang it, you're going to at least kill one, look one in the eyes, and understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
So think about how
It's
many people that
responsible.
might deter, and you know, again, you're still allowed to do it. I'm not taking it away, but damn it, you know, you're gonna put some fucking elbow grease on this and get your hands dirty a little bit and understand. Like that's it. That's as much as it has
And
to
then
be.
once you've
Doggone
obtained
it.
this
Like
license,
an
you
elbow
have
then
it
you
for
can go to
hours.
Walmart and you can buy your pork chop packs and do
With
everything you
parameters.
want. But damn it, one time you will have that experience. Like I mean,
When you're over 18. And
well, that's the details. That's the details. Like now we're getting into the details of it. And what's the age of
And is there a gender difference? Which I'm old school. I would say, yeah.
Would you be willing to write one of your government officials about this idea and see what their
would I be
take on
willing
it?
to? Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because I'd
Yeah.
be interested to see what they have to say to you back.
Oh,
No, that's actually a good idea.
You should do it. You should totally do
I mean,
it.
if more communities propose something like this, that actually
Because
is not a bad idea.
Just talking about
Yeah.
something, just,
Yeah.
okay.
I have to
so
take it to the next step.
That's actually a good idea.
where Edward is coming from, I will say we can do this.
I'm being
as,
facetious, but I'm still
Right.
saying you should do it to see what
It's a
happens.
good idea.
what the
You might be
outcome is.
facetious, but it's a good idea.
Well, I
It
think
won't work because as soon as it gets anything, it's going to come right back to the money. And
Sorry.
the money it won't work because it's going to take money away from special groups, and they don't want to lose their money, and that'll be that. 'Cause
Well, the thing is,
Well,
we
and then
don't.
if you understand how an account, well, go ahead.
Thanks. I might forget. I think we can do this as a culture and parents, especially. Like we are trying right now to shift it. Like government help our cause, but we could create a movement and say, look, like I've tried to teach my kids. Look, we're gonna do this, and you need to know there's blood on your hands if you're gonna do this. And my kid actually said, "This is the best chicken I've ever had" when he did it. You know, and I do think that's how I raise my kids, and we can promote that concept. And I do think, like, if you are a human taking life, it should be something you at least come to terms with and respect. Whether you have to kill the animal or not.
Right.
it's
I
like-
think you shouldn't be.
The question is that
Removed
going to
from-
be enough for the hardcore vegan to be
That's a good question.
ethical?
I don't think people should be
Morally enough.
removed from the process or the reality of what goes into what sustains their own life. But when you mandate it, it's something different than people
Agreed.
doing something on their own volition.
Agreed.
Well, again, though, it's mass production versus responsibility.
Like, how do I make myself a better person? Well, that's on me.
Get a
But
license
if I
for
have
it.
someone telling me how I make myself a better person, that's their idea of a better person, and I'm not all about it.
So Russ's idea, though,
it's not-
it's good. It would be, again, mandating a license to do it. You have to get a license to drive a car.
You got a license to hunt.
You got a license to hunt. So it's not a bad idea.
But
It
you don't-
makes you ethically responsible.
I think Edward kind of swayed me to his side, actually.
But
But,
if you understand
okay.
how the economy works, like everything has a ripple effect, right? So once we implement the need for a license, even though it's a one-time thing, let's say, and it's really easy to get, and there's really no barriers to entry there. There's no costs or whatever, which if you're involving the government, there's going to be a cost. There's always a cost.
Fishing license is $25.
Right, but a cost to say, you know what, you need to spend money to eat in the future. That's not even constitutional. So you guys are probably gonna start arguing against the
Well,
constitutional.
you voting isn't constitutional.
It's
so
not constitutional to have anyone spend any money for anything.
yeah.
You know, to force somebody to buy a product, and to buy permission. So, like, let's say we implemented it. Okay, now initially you're going to see less meat being sold, right? And maybe those people are losing money. And then other things, suppliers from them are losing money. And then transportation companies are losing money. And then there's like ripple effects. Lots of families losing things. People are losing things. We're seeing it with COVID right now. There's a lot of like national chain companies shutting down. Those are people's jobs. So what are those people going to have to cut back on? What are they going to have to try to do? They're going to overwhelm other systems.
I agree with you that there are ripple effects.
So your answer is keep letting the mass farms that are out there keep destroying people's lives and keep destroying the land. That's your answer.
Whose lives are they destroying?
Again, I just reiterated
The people that live around the shit
highest
ponds?
cancer rates. The highest cancer rates are among these communities. They
Yeah,
didn't choose to build those. They didn't choose to build that
They
land
need
there.
to change some things, but I don't think we need to be buying. We need to be asking a centralized organization for permission to eat.
I think you guys want the same thing. He's coming from a point of optimism of humanity. You're coming from a point of pessimism from humanity. You're saying we need to have an enforcement aspect. He's saying we as humans should rise.
We police
to that
ourselves,
level.
right? We take care of ourselves.
Well,
we
look
do
where
things
stand
on our
right
own
now,
volition.
letting that happen.
Well, this is all
Again, capitalism doesn't work.
try in the sky.
It's true. This part of capitalism definitely does not
But I guess
work.
if you look
Just
yeah,
doesn't.
I agree.
what,
with you.
we've
what
proved
exists
it.
and what doesn't
Historically,
yet.
we've
Like the
proved
part
it.
of the reasonable
How
doesn't
so?
really exist. Hence, we're having this
We have
conversation.
people
so we let
dying
that
down south of
reasonableness-
cancer.
Yeah, I would like.
How
the
many are
government
dying?
to
Do you
step
have
in.
a? I mean, you got a
What?
lot of
I would like the government to
statistics
step in.
today.
I will pull
I got
somebody
a
up.
lot of studies.
I have
check
somebody who will pull you up
Right.
all day long.
Don't pull up the cancer statistics; they're bad. Anyway,
It's bad. bad.
I see the ripple effects thing for sure, and I think that there could be a lot of negative consequences to that. However, the one good consequence that I think could come from it that would probably make me buy on is if the type of meat that we are allowed to eat at that point, if it becomes healthier and more quality, and then we overall begin to benefit from a health perspective, then I could probably buy onto it.
So I'm of the opinion with government and power, when you give people in power a little bit of your freedoms,
That's true.
they're going to ask for more.
That's true.
And then it's like the frog getting boiled in the pot where you turn it up slowly and then all of a sudden it's dead and it doesn't even realize it
that's-
was getting boiled.
That's totally true. But what I'm
Right?
saying is right now, government still has power, right?
They're already doing it now. Exactly.
Some of the meat we have is crap.
It's garbage.
Some of the meat we have versus some of the good quality meat, I won't even
Well, look at the
touch.
extremes.
But you
look at the
have-
extremes of
You have
literally-
options when you go. You have options based on your
Well, no,
your preferences,
yes, but
your
look
monetary
at what's out there.
options.
Look at the horrific, horrible condition is out there because you have those options.
Yeah.
Like those, someone didn't do that horrible stuff because it wasn't demanded. It's capitalism. So someone is demanding that shitty shit.
Shit burger.
Someone wants that shit burger still because it's still there.
Yeah.
So if maybe this licensing could chip away at some of that shitty horribleness that's causing the cancer and decimating communities because they live next to the pig farm runoffs and all that stuff. Like maybe we can chip away at some of that. Okay, so yeah, the trucking guys that are delivering the shit burgers suffer a little bit, and there's some ripple effect there. But you know what?
We'll suffer a little bit.
Oh, the
Means
bigger
losing-
picture
lose your
is
job.
improvement. Okay, so I'm sorry he lost his job. People are losing their job anyway, but we still have all the shit. So if I could do this and ripple effect and you know,
These jobs divert, just so you know. Industry changes. If you change one thing, it creates part of another industry. Industry diverts. That happened all across the entire United States history.
okay, in the
So-
transportation. Okay, so you get rid of the people transporting the shit burgers, but now we need trucks to go in there and clean up the shitty land that the shit burgers lived on. So now we created jobs because now we're going to clean up the land and develop something green there.
We're really innovative in America.
Boy, man, look-
now we deliver this shit to your house.
I'm pretty sure we just used our entire quota of shit in 1 hour.
By the way, no one said stop swearing so much. So I assumed it was
I
okay.
think we passed our shit allotment. We need to buy another shit license.
we went from PG-13 to R. I think.
It's interesting though, like the Catholic Church used to do some of this as far as putting rules in place to for humanity to follow. And people have turned on religion in general, saying, the Bible is just a set of things to rule over us. We want to be ruled, and we need to be ruled, and we've rebelled against it, and I do think that's why we're in this situation.
But like
Thanks.
when you
Thanks
look
for
in the
promoting the
Bible,
Catholic
it wasn't
Church
like God gave Moses the 10 Commandments and said, now so and so over here is going to make sure you follow these. It was like, you make sure you follow these.
Or is it he's making sure you understand them? Because I'm not saying after you kill that first chicken that you got to do it every single time. I'm just saying, just do it once, understand it, and then chicken away.
I like the overall thought process behind it. I understand your concerns of it,
No,
but I do think humanity...
I
has to-
agree with you, Russ. And I agree with you, Mike, that we should not be removed from the reality of life.
Right.
In any aspect, we shouldn't be removed from something we're taking part in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If we're going to take part in it, we shouldn't be removed. We should, like, I was cutting the spine out of that chicken thinking, how first world am I? Like, that I'm just freaked out by this. I'm 33 years old, and this is my first, like, real interaction with cutting up a chicken. You know, like, how removed am I? Like, I'm so lucky to have grocery stores doing this for me. People that, it's all packaged up. But that's me feeling like I should do it on my own volition.
Yeah. But what if we could have made
That's
you do
different than like
Right.
that's like having dominion over yourself. How many things are we willing to give up to other people?
Well, can I ask you, as a Catholic, and as, let's just say, a Christian, were there things that you think were accelerated in your self-policing? You know, things you were like, oh, I should do this because it's better. Like, maybe you wouldn't, if you were just born in the woods, you wouldn't have known these things. And I think right now we are in the wilderness.
Are you asking me? Actually asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like, for example, I won't go on it too long, but like in Christianity, the idea of sin, right? Of you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, because those things have ripple effects on how you act, how you treat other people. Those things aren't mandated. Like, I worked in a restaurant. In a restaurant, people talk about this, that, and the other, and they're like, "Do you do this? Do you do that?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Because I don't believe in that stuff." Oh, that's odd. Well, so it's like everyone else is engaging in this stuff, but I'm not, because I've chosen not to.
Did you participate in Lent?
What?
Have you participated in Lent?
Yeah.
And you did it, why?
I mean, most of the time, I'll be honest, it was begrudgingly.
Right. So you were kind of policed into doing that
but I never, like...
sooner than you would have at 33.
Yeah, sure. Somebody suggested doing it. The church suggested doing it, and I did it because that's a thing we do, without really questioning it. I've always faltered with Lent.
Well,
I've always done it begrudgingly.
We all do, but that's to build spiritual resistance to sin, right? It's to help you along your journey. That's all it's built for. Yeah.
I would just say, if someone could have made you carve that chicken at 16 or suggested it at 16, you'd probably be better off at 16 than you know, at 33.
Right, but I'm not going to an organization. I'm waiting in line. I'm here to get my chicken license.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's AI. Who knows? But maybe it still could shorten the learning curve. And if we can get to, like, a better ecological state, if we can, you know, for my grandkids, you know what I mean? I'm not even sure the
I'm
world's
not
gonna
looking
exist.
forward to living into that Weird Jetsons Marxist
I'm
world.
just saying, if you can invest in the future now rather than threaten the future now, wouldn't you? You know?
I mean, capitalism does lend itself to excessiveness.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's one thing, I mean, I hated this whole pandemic COVID thing from the beginning. I bitched about my rights being taken away to everybody, right? But as time went on, I realized, man, I'm actually a little bit excessive in this area. I'm a little excessive in that area. You know, as time went on, I realized, like, man, there's more I could be doing.
It's a realization you were able to come to
Yeah.
on your own, not someone holding a gun to your head and saying,
No, I know.
Gumby,
I'm just saying
you
that maybe
eat
that's
too
what that
much.
idea could offer
Gumby,
us.
you drive
You're
too much.
you might be taking it a little extreme.
Yeah, we're not
Edward.
talking about anybody holding a gun to anybody.
Yeah, but I'm using that as a euphemism.
Yeah, but what we're saying is everybody's nutritional needs are met. Okay? Everybody's nutritional needs are met. And then all we're saying is that if you wanted to kill an animal, even though all your nutritional needs are met, then you just acquire a license. That's all.
Yeah.
But you already have to do that for fishing.
Yeah.
I was
I
saying
was
there's so
shocked
many
the
there's
first
so many
time.
licenses you need for everything. Like, what's a couple more that actually have a pretty profound effect? Just like, you
So that we all learn compassion, right?
well,
at the end of the day,
and
our compassion
maybe-
license.
if it
And
okay.
maybe-
So what? I guess so. What is wrong with that? I mean,
Because then you have...
you're arguing that
policing
I don't want no
morality.
compassion, man. That's all.
No, I
That's
do
all
want
it's for.
I
That's
do
all this
want
license
compassion.
is for. Is to appreciate.
I do want compassion, but
And I
that
even-
compassion is a thing that you arrive at on your own.
That's true, but
You
with
don't
Okay.
arrive there because someone made you
Okay, wait a
get
minute.
there.
Compassion.
If
I didn't
someone
throw that
made
on the
you
table.
Get there, it's false compassion.
I didn't throw compassion on the table. I wouldn't force that on anybody. Understanding, appreciation of what's happening. That was my argument for this.
So, like,
You
let's
can't
say I
teach
go
people compassion.
do my, like, it's like a driver's test. I go in to get my killing a chicken test.
All right. Now we're circling the same conversations.
But I'm saying, is somebody
So-
going to make sure I hold my eyes open?
Okay.
I think it comes down to your ethics, your dietary choice. It is a personal decision. A lot of times it does get very hot topic and almost becomes a religion to ourselves. I think it is up to each of us to research and come to terms with our choices and make sure, as you're advocating for kids and things like that, you're doing it without a lot of bias, because there are ripple effects in all our decisions.
Yeah. Russ?
I guess the ethical and the veganism kind of expunges on top of a bigger picture which is apathy. Like I have a big problem with apathetic society, and I think this kind of is part in this ball that I've been talking about, this ethical and vegan and making improvements to not kill things. It's like part of an apathetic highway that I think we're as a society going down very fast. People are just zipping by a lot of things that they don't even think twice about, and I just think put a little more thought into how your actions actually compound, and maybe you might make some different decisions.
Cool. Edward?
Like I've been saying the last couple hours, food libertarian. Do you do what you got to do?
I'm still making you a t-shirt.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. I'm a fan of making your own choices.
oh boy.
Gumby.
There's nothing taboo over brew, and 25-cent wing night at Wink and Losers on Thursdays.
Nice, 25 cents,
I
really?
thought, right? I don't know.
They're still that cheap? Holy cow. That was back when I ate wings, it was that cheap. All right. So, all right. Make sure you visit us on Patreon. Please buy our beers. Either that or over at anchor.fm/BibleLoverBrews. Visit us on every social media platform, including Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr. We're on all of it. Listen, comment, like. We love you. Godspeed.
Bye.
Peace out.
Good night.
Vegetable rice in peace.